Thank you, Matt. And welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar for January 10th, 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. And joining me today is the Adult Education team, and we have some special guests as well. Before we get to the special guests, let's turn to state data. The first half of the year has really been great. For program year 2023, enrollment is up by more than 2,300 students. This is a 15% increase when compared to the same time a year ago. Look at those measurable skill gains. Measurable skill gains are up by almost 3 percentage points, 2.7%, and HSEs are up by more than 118 diplomas. So great job. We'll have some more information about the mid-year incentive in just a few minutes. Turning to the grant competition, the request for applications will be released Friday, January 19th, next week. And if you are a current, excuse me, if you are a current provider and or have indicated interest in the grant in the past, you will be automatically mailed the application package. The application will also be posted on Friday to our adult education website under grants and forms. There will be two applications. One, the larger application, which is ABE, and then the second, the smaller of the two, is IELCE. There are 13 considerations plus one. The 14th consideration, as we described in the statewide town hall meetings, the 14th consideration is a description of the steps that the applicant proposes to take to ensure equitable access and participation by addressing the special needs of students, teachers, and other program personnel. Plus, as we discussed in the town hall meetings, there are 6 specific Indiana considerations for the ABE application, and there are 4 specific Indiana considerations for the IELCE grant. As you can see on your screen, potential applicants may ask questions about the grant. Questions, however, must be formally submitted by February 2nd. We will compile the questions, and responses to the questions will be posted to the adult education website by February 9th. After the application due date, which is Friday, March 1st, the state will evaluate, our office will evaluate each applicant for demonstrated effectiveness, as we described in the town hall meetings, and then assuming that the application meets this demonstrated effectiveness, we will then submit the application for the formal review to outside panels that will score and rank each application. Each application that meets demonstrated effectiveness will also be reviewed by the local Workforce Development Board. WDBs will be given the opportunity to submit any recommendations to us. This is a requirement under statute to do this. This is a multi-year grant. The 6-year grant starts obviously July 1st, 2024 and ends on June 30th of 2030. We plan to make award notifications hopefully early in May of 2024. So that is the grant application process. Again, we will post that grant, send the grants to you for your consideration. And again, there's a formal question process that I outlined on the screens, the timeline that we will do. After we release the grant, the state office really can't answer questions. If we do answer questions, we need to post them so that everyone has an opportunity to see the question and to see our response. So here with us is Nikki, and she has a special story today about Daniel. Daniel was a student at McDowell Adult Education Center here in Columbus, and so Would you share, Nikki, Daniel's story?
Yes, I will. This story is very near and dear to my heart. I know Daniel personally, so if I get a little emotional, that's why. Um, my addiction with drugs began at the age of 13 when my stepmother introduced me down the path of addiction that would impact every aspect of my life. Most of my family struggles with addiction, and I dropped out of school at 16. During this path in my life, I spent most of the next 10 years in and out of incarceration. I only spent one Christmas during this time not incarcerated. My addiction would have a hold on me and impact my ability to work and live my life freely. In August of 2019, I walked over to San Souci, a nonprofit organization, to get clothing vouchers for a work release program. While I was there, the operations supervisor asked me if I needed a job, and I said yes. I began working at San Souci the next day. I excelled at San Souci. My hard work ethic got me promoted from a donations receiver to a truck driver. During my employment, I was able to earn my HSE through McDowell Education Center while getting paid to attend classes through San Souci's Employee Development Program. I maintained my sobriety throughout my time working at San Souci, but unfortunately relapsed during the 2020 pandemic. San Souci had no choice but to let me go. When San Souci let me go, I spiraled into addiction again. I began robbing people, carrying guns, and my addiction went so far as to me breaking into a police officer's car, stealing their gun, gun belt, handcuffs, keys, and a taser. I was arrested and convicted for these charges, as well as another drug possession charge. When I got arrested, I knew I had two options: continue down the path I was on, one, either die before the age of 25 or spend the rest of my life incarcerated, or two, get the help that I so badly needed. I made the decision that I wanted help. The Columbus Jail had a year-long program called Realm, or Recovery Enables a Life for Men, and I decided to participate. I was attending as many as 12 addiction meetings a week, and I contacted San Souci about getting my job back. They agreed to give me a chance, but I was going to have to prove myself. They worked with my schedule around court appointments and recovery meetings. I started doing great again, and I was building myself a future. I got my driver's license reinstated and took classes to build my credit and was able to purchase a truck. At this time, San Souci started a new program called Build You, and I was accepted. The program consisted of 5 6 weeks workshops on life skills. Two of those programs were provided by McDowell Education Center. While at McDowell, I was at a computer literacy workshop, which was very beneficial. Before the workshop, I could barely power on a computer. After the workshop, I was able to do many things, including creating a PowerPoint presentation that I presented to the San Souci board. The second workshop at McDowell was on career exploration. This taught me about what type of career would best suit me. McDowell informed me about a logistics certification class they were about to begin. I signed up and I got into the class. Things really started looking up. I was promoted at work to operations supervisor. I earned my HSD through McDowell, and I graduated from the Realm program. This was huge for me because I had never graduated from anything in my life. I was finally proud of who I was becoming. I continued my logistics classes at McDowell and earned not one, but two certifications: the Certified Logistics Associate, as well as the Certified Logistics Technician. San Souci and McDowell helped me find a career opportunity using these certifications. Today, I have a full-time position at Toyota Material Handling in the logistics department. I work at Toyota full-time and at San Souci on the weekend. I am 27 years old and have been sober since May of 2021 and have never been happier in my life. I still have many future goals, which include going back to college to get a degree in logistics so I can further my career. I also want to continue working with the addiction support community so that I can help others like me overcome addiction and lead a productive life. I want to continue building my credit so I can buy a forever home for my family. If I could give any advice to anyone considering getting their education, I would tell them to go for it. It will be hard work, but it will be worth every second. You are worth it, and when you achieve it, you will be so proud of yourself. And this brings up a really good point. Had Daniel not walked into Toyota with just his certificate and they ran his background check, he would have never gotten that job. So it's very important that we partner with businesses and advocate for our students, because we are better than a temp agency. We know them. We know who shows up to class. We know who puts in the work and have overcome obstacles and persevered. We can provide businesses with good employees because we know our students. So I just really encourage you to go out there and partner with businesses and just advocate for your students to get them good jobs.
An amazing story. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. And thank you to, to Daniel. Turning to JAG and Youth Adult Services, Bart's here today with updates. Hello, Bart.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Fine, fine.
All righty. So the first big update is just a reminder to save the date for March 15th, 2024. That is our State Career Development Conference. It's our kind of watershed event for JAG Indiana and our students. So if you're interested in seeing what those are like, we have them starting across the state on the 19th in the 12 different regions. I think Region 7 is the one that always kicks off the 12 regional career development conferences. So if there's one in your area, connect with me and I'll put you in touch with somebody that from your region that you can connect with and potentially attend. Ways to be involved are volunteer to help the region, whether it's with registration or setup or routing students to different places or whatever they may need. You could always volunteer to judge one of our competitions, or just attend and cheer on the students and see what it's all about if you've never been to one. So again, reach out to me if you have any questions on that. And there's a link right there that has all the dates and regions and locations. Next slide. All right, our JAG expansion is ongoing. We would like to ramp up our expansion even more and a reminder, expansion includes middle school sites, 9th and 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade, college sites, alternative education. So if you hear of someone that might be interested in learning more about JAG and expanding and has the capacity to take on a JAG program, certainly have them fill out that program interest form. Or you can reach out to the JAG Indiana inbox. We check that about on a daily basis and someone will get back to you immediately. But definitely, if you know someone that is even kicking the can around about what is JAG or would it be good for my area, have them reach out to us because the answer probably is yes. Last time we introduced our field support managers. These are folks within the regions that are helping out with all manner of the JAG expansion and any other JAG-ish type things that are going on regionally. But these are good folks to get to know as they're kind of the youth team boots on the ground in the regions, while our team is the four of us that have traditionally been here are centrally located. So in regions 1 through 4 is Cherish Schaefer. Regions 5 through 7 and 12 is Elizabeth Via Smith, and then regions 8 through 11 is Jennifer Robinson. Sharing their emails right there. They've all officially started as of this week. So feel free to reach out to them, or if you just want to meet them, get to know them and talk a little bit about your programming, they definitely would like to hear from you as well. So I think that's all I have, Jerry. The last thing I'll say is go blue.
Thanks, Bart. Thank you very much. Well, up next is Maryland, and Maryland will share some information about reauthorization, the Workforce Pell Act, the governor's 2024 Next Level Agenda, and Indiana's Digital Equity Plan. Good morning, Maryland.
Good morning. Next slide. All right. Well, good morning, adult education family, and welcome to 2024. Fasten your seatbelts as I anticipate some turbulence ahead. And I thought as we headed through the year, I'd pop on the statewide calls for a minute each month to give you any updates that I thought you should be paying attention to on the national and state level. So here we go with the new Maryland's Minute. Might be longer than a minute this month. So on the national stage, there are two important bills you should be following. Both of these are in the House. The first is the long-awaited WIOA reauthorization bill, a Stronger Workforce for America Act. This is bipartisan within the House, sponsored by both a Republican and a Democrat. There's a lot of good content here, but there's also items to be aware of. So please, first off, please review the Act for the evidence-based definition. This aligns to what we see in the K through 12 ESSA Act, I'll just leave it to you to kind of review that and see the implications for your own programs. And if it's approved, if this bill is authorized, it could have impact on how training providers are selected and funded within the entire WIOA system. The second item I'd like you to review is the employer-directed skill development. As I read more into what this is, it sounds much like our WEI programs. It requires an employer partnership and contribution. So I've added a brief article, if you don't have time to read the entire bill, that you can kind of go over and give you a summary of some of the high points. The second bill, the Bipartisan Workforce Pell Act, could also be important to us as it allows for the use of Pell Grants for short-term training. This obviously could have an impact on our IETs. Now, on to the state. I'm sure each one of you saw Governor Holcomb's State of the State address last night, right? That's okay if you didn't. Two items that are really important that I want you to follow that came out of that last night. The first is the expansion of early childhood education resources. Can I get a hand there? I think we all know how important this is. So what does it mean to us? So the Child Development Associate will now be considered eligible for both the Employer Training Grant and the Workforce Ready Grant funding. WRG staff, your favorite Bryn Cisco and team are working on the process, but you guys can begin getting ready now. This is considered a pilot, so we're making several exceptions to the normal WRG process. In addition to waiving the 4 and 5 flame requirement, individuals without a high school diploma will be eligible for these funds. Note, this is only for CDA. If you offer CDA, please, please, please apply to add the program to the ETPL. We know some of you are offering it and are on the ETPL, but there are several of you that are offering it that are not on the ETPL. Eligible Training Provider List, also known as in training. The second step is you will need to apply that program. You'll need to apply for that program to be added to the WRG list. So if you don't offer CDA, but would like to, I haven't asked him about this, but I'm sure he'd be happy to help. Please reach out to Roy, who can connect you to successful CDA programs across the state. The second, I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of questions on that. I'll be here the full length of the call. Happy to answer those later, or you can send me an email. Much of my response will probably be, this is still in process. The second item from the state agenda is the new One Stop to Start Works website. So Hoosiers can submit information on this website and get referred to resources that the state have and that they might be eligible for. This would include the Next Level Jobs program, adult education, as well as our One Stop Work One partners and post-secondary education. More to come on this as well, but we do hope to see new referrals as a result of this site and the associated marketing efforts that will go along with that. And then finally, I think most of you know that I've worked for a long time on the digital equity plan, been on that task force, and it is now open and available for public comment. Please review that and submit your comments, especially how adult education can help the state in meeting these goals. And then finally, I just wanted to say, and every year I kind of go through some of my old books. And so this year I found a book that I had done probably 7 years ago, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reread this one. And the name of the book is Make Today Matter. And one of the chapters is Change Your Little Part of the World. And I thought it was really interesting, the note that I wrote in this, in the side of this, and it's talking about what is your kind of small part of the world. They call that the Magic Mountain. I said, my Magic Mountain is the uneducated in Indiana who struggle socially because of their lack of education. Some need and will get a diploma. Others learn to read enough to complete an application or learn work skills. They were somehow left out or left behind in the K through 12 education system and need a second, third, fourth chance. I can't get to all 475,000 of them without a high school diploma, but I can, and my team did, change the lives of the 5,000 who did. So I want to remind you, just like the story of the starfish, every individual that you're touching, you're changing their life. You might not be able to change all 420 some thousand, but you'll change at least one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Marilyn. Such encouraging words and great information. And maybe we call it the Marilyn 5-minute Marilyn. So moving on, we have Jose, and Jose has information, updates about Indiana Career Explorer. Hello, Jose. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Jerry? Thank you. Good morning,
Good.
everyone. Next slide. So just some Indiana Career Explorer updates and some metrics here. So as of today, we have 8,386 adult education students registered in Indiana Career Explorer. We have 128 career coaches. And so if you have admin access, you can pull this report. If you need admin access, reach out to me. I can also help you pull this report. And if you want to know what your site individually has, you can reach out to me quick because I just pulled the report this morning with our students that are registered in Indiana Career Explorer. Next slide. Just a couple updates, what we have going on and what we have going in the pipelines here. Again, we're building some more in-demand training that will be available this year. It'll also be on the website. And again, it'll include assessment and analysis training, data and reporting, and also our AWP training will be updated as well. By the end of Q1, and this is a big priority for us, is having the third work values matcher. We want to make sure that is fully integrated into Indiana Career Explorer. And then by the end of Q1, it will be. And so where that helps out and where that means is when you click on report and just a one click, you can verify all three assessments. You can also verify all three assessments individually with your career coach, or you can look up your student, or you can pull it up as an Excel spreadsheet for everyone. And so that's a very important piece. We want to make sure that everybody has that access there. Jerry, can everybody hear me well, or am I kind of low?
You're good now.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'll speak a little louder. Thanks, guys. Again, with our career coaching site, we're updating the training and our professional development that we do have in there, and then we'll have our normal resources that we update them 4 times a week and 4 times a year. And so those will always be changing. Remember, we have our archived content for anything that we've had in the past. And so stay tuned for more updates, but really want to make sure the full integration of the work values matcher is available out there, and also to make sure that again, with your registrations and all the students that are registered for your site, make sure you be able to pull those reports and that they're congruent with your table 4 enrollments as well. And that is it. Welcome back, everyone.
And welcome back, and thank you so much, Jose. We have Shannon here. Actually, we have Rob here, followed by Shannon, but Rob's here with the Indiana Mentoring Report. Hi, Rob.
Well, hello, everybody. Glad to see you on today. Glad to be with you. Hey, I've been meeting with our new directors in the month of December, as I do every month, and continuing through the program year on a regular basis. And just remember, if you are a more veteran director, a not so new director, and just want to kind of brainstorm some ideas with someone, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to do that. This service, of course, is free of charge to our program directors, and it's with funding from DWD Adult Education to our state association, IAACE. So just to give you an idea of some things that I've helped with recently in the month of December, I talked with some folks about intake and orientation ideas and questions that they had. Worked with some programs on inters data entry to make sure all their errors and performance is all up to date for the good old mid-year incentive, December 31st. Helped a couple programs get on in training, as Marilyn suggested, and the eligible training provider list. Folks, I let you know that process may look a little bit overwhelming, but it is really a piece of cake. A piece of cake. It's 3 steps, and if you need some help with that, just let me know. I'll come and we'll do some shoulder by shoulder work on that together, so you can be up that very day. And of course, the grant. Things like where do I can pull together some demographic data to support needs in our area? What areas of Indiana should I apply for around my counties? How can I redesign some services to be more effective in the grant application? So I thought it was really encouraging that our directors have really thought ahead on this ahead of the January 19th release of that application. So, and I've been really encouraging to look at those old grant questions, and glad to see people are doing that. In addition, some work I do is on a monthly publication called Monthly Minders for New Administrators. It's kind of with a new administrator audience in mind, but anybody can access it. I emailed it out to our new directors on the 2nd of January, but it's available to everybody on the IAAC website, thanks to our executive director, Jen. This document lists meetings and tasks that I'm aware of that should be accomplished in the month of January, as well as some helpful hints for program administration that you may be interested in. For example, in January's issue, I identify a population of potential students we could be reaching out to, and they're probably walking right into our HSE test centers on a regular basis. You want to know who that population might be? Check out that January edition that Jen just posted there with the website, and you'll find out and see if that was helpful to you. Finally, today, I'd like to welcome a new local program director who's joined us recently. June Knoll recently became the adult education director at Ivy Tech Bloomington. They have a program that serves Cook Medical as a WI partner. So June, you sure are welcome here. We glad to have you. And I know we've been talking on email, but I'm looking forward to making a time to come out and see you sometime face to face. So glad to have you. And thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week, and contact me if I can be of help.
Thank you, Rob, so very much, and welcome, June. Well, now, Shannon Hollis is here from the Indiana Office of Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship, and she has some information to share with our adult education programs across the state. Welcome, Shannon.
Well, good morning, everybody. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And we're just here today to kind of give everybody an update. You spent the last several months listening to us talk about pre-apprenticeship, IET programs, how everything can kind of work together in this work-based learning arena. Go ahead and go next slide. So we just wanted to go ahead and give you an update of where we stand currently going into the first of the year. We do have 3 educational partners across the state who have lovingly volunteered to be pilots for the NCCER pre-apprenticeship program. They are each working in conjunction with multiple registered apprenticeship program partners in their area. Those participants who are going to be going through that program are going to be able to successfully complete their IETs, gain that meaningful hands-on experience to be able to ensure what they've learned, they're able to practice. And then through the partnerships, they're going to be able to provide that individual with a pathway to entrance into a registered apprenticeship program, which for them equals meaningful full-time employment. So just kind of give you a wrap up of that. To remind everybody what the requirements are going into what that pre-apprenticeship program has to have. We're looking at the training of that at being 40 to 100 classroom hours, in-chair hours. Of course, you're going to be looking at that counseling or mentoring that all the facilities already provide in making sure that the individuals have the coaching they need to get through it successfully. Each of the programs are going to have 30 hours plus of either simulated lab, paid work experience, or volunteered experience to be able to get that meaningful hands-on. Of course, with your IETs, they're going to be earning those Indiana promoted list certifications. And then, of course, in this is that partnership with that registered apprenticeship program, and that's all done through that articulation agreement. So there you're just seeing what is required for it. I am extremely excited to get our 3 up and running. They're in that application process. So go ahead and go to the next slide if you would. And just a reminder of anybody who has a work-based learning program that they want to go into the SEAL program or certified as a pre-apprenticeship program, this is the portal that starts the application process itself. So I just want to give a reminder to that. And then next slide, if anybody has any questions, wants to learn more about it, how they might be able to participate, especially if you have those community partners already in place, feel free, just reach out, email me, and we'll get that conversation started. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Donna has information this morning about waitlist, HSC fee reimbursement, and the mid-year incentive. Welcome, Donna.
Well, hello, everyone. Next slide, please. We have wait lists that are due the first week of each month for the previous month's numbers. These wait lists are for when you don't have a class scheduled due to lack of funds, lack of space, lack of staff, etc. But you have students who need those services in either ABE, ELL, IET, WEI, or IELCE. So basically, the student is waiting for services and you have no idea when or if you will be able to provide them. And also as a reminder, these monthly wait lists allow us to demonstrate to our stakeholders the current real-time need for adult ed services throughout the state. Next slide. On the December statewide call, we released information that additional HSE fee reimbursement funds would be sent out to the field. We did change one of the criteria from amount reimbursed to amount spent. I was reminded that there is a lag time between when you expend funds for HSE testing and when you submit your reimbursement request. The state allows you to request the HSE reimbursement immediately after eligible students test. However, your school corporation or parent organization may require that you wait for an invoice from the testing service. So whichever one you can do, the earliest that you can send in that reimbursement request, we'll take it. Next slide. And finally, a little bit more about that HSE fee reimbursement funding. We sent out a survey on December 14th, asking the 2 questions that you see on the screen. We still have a few people who have not responded to that, but we want to combine the HSE fee funding when we also put the additional money in for any mid-year incentive you may have earned, and do those together and send out a single award letter to you. Please remember that there is no guarantee that the amount that you request is the amount that you will receive for HSE funding. However, I will tell you, so far it looks like we will be able to fulfill most of the requests as asked for, pending the few final ones coming in. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Thank you very much. Back to you, Jerry.
Thank you, Donna. I'm going to go ahead and jump into my portion. Nice to see everyone. Welcome to the call. Next slide, please. So over the past several years, we've noticed at the state level that there's a significant outcome gap between ABE and ELL students. On the screen right now, you can see a graph detailing the gap between those Table 4, Column J outcomes. So in 21-22, at the end of the program year, ABE students achieving almost 72% on Table 4, Column J, and our ELL students were at 61.23, so a gap of a little over 10 percentage points. In 2022-23, we saw both of those numbers increase, but the gap widened a little bit to approximately 12 percentage points. Next slide, please. So we've made this a priority to really better understand how we can close that outcome achievement gap between our student subpopulations. And the good news is right now, mid-year in 23-24, that gap is only at 4 percentage points. So that is a huge shift in what we've been able to achieve from an outcome standpoint with ELL students. So we're really excited about it and wanted to share that information with the field. Next slide, please. What's really interesting is we've actually seen programs who have met both met the goals on the mid-year incentive. 9 of those programs had a higher percentage of gains with ELL students than ABE. So while we are seeing a gap across the state and with a lot of programs, we are seeing a shift. Like I said, almost 10 programs had higher outcomes with their ELL students as of the mid-year incentive. And 15 programs were able to exceed the mid-year incentive goal of 57% with their ELL students. This is really critical because having been in the field and understanding a lot of the concerns from providers, as our ELL population has increased, they've been really timid about expanding it too much because of that concern that their table 4 would go down. The shift we're seeing this year helps really ease those concerns. And a big part of that has been a focus on professional development for our ELL students. Next slide, please. So a couple of years ago, we did a professional development survey, and we asked the field, what are areas that you would like more training in? And ELL-focused trainings came up as a very high response rate, So over the last 12 months or so, we've been doing a lot of Indiana-specific professional development with experts in our field on how to better serve and have more effective instruction for the ELL population. There are videos of all of these trainings on the Amplify AE website under professional development. So if you have any questions, these are some real basic trainings that you could provide for your staff. Like I said, they're recorded and they are from professionals in the Indiana adult education space, many of whom are PDFs and available through that network. Next slide, please. And then we have even more resources. Managing multi-level classrooms was shared in the PDF network, and this will go out as part of the slide deck so you can access it from the link. And then Dr. Glenda Rose, she presented at the IAACE conference. She is a national expert in effective instruction for English language learners. The 3 bulleted presentations are available. The slide deck is available through me if you would like that information. And I want to real quick give a shout out to the Immigrant Welcome Center, who has provided a lot of resources in this area. They've done study circles for serving literacy level ELL students. They've provided an informal assessment that is being used in some programs to help better understand literacy levels in our level 1 ELL learners. So lots of great information from both our state partners and resources brought in through IAACE. So if you need any help in this area, please reach out or access those resources on the Amplify AE website. Next slide, please. And then, as Jerry mentioned, we have 2 different grants. We have the general ABE grant, and then we have the IELCE grant. IELCE is Integrated English Literacy and Civics Education. And real quick, that is to serve immigrants in civic, linguistic, and economic integration in U.S. society. There are some new Indiana considerations that will expand the funding activities under the IELCE grant. One is an ELL Career Navigator position. This has been piloted in a couple of other states throughout the country, specifically Washington State, Texas, and Virginia. There is a spotlight brief on this new role and how other states are using these individuals to help guide their immigrant learners. So if you're interested in that, there's more information that will be available through a link in the slide deck. And then there's also credit degree translation as a new consideration. And this is primarily for our internationally trained professionals who have degrees from other countries, and they are trying to leverage that education into a career here in the US. For example, Indiana as a state requires teachers to be licensed, and you can get a license with a foreign credential if it is translated at a credit level. So that would be a new activity that is available through IELCE. So in the past, some programs have not applied for that grant because maybe they didn't have the need or they weren't sure how it would benefit their immigrant learners. We're encouraging everyone to look at both grants this time around to see if it would apply and benefit your program. If you have any questions, please let us know. But that is all I have. So next slide. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. It's great to see you all today. Today, I'm going to remind you all about Adult Ed Day. We're going to talk some more about reminders of where you can find information for the grant competition. And I'll also remind you to update your locations. So to start, Adult Ed Day this year is in the North Atrium of the State House, just like it has been the last 2 years, and it's on February 13th. This is something that we're doing in partnership with IAACE, and I imagine Jen will also share information about this. We would love for you all to promote this event. Last year was really successful, and we had many students attend. So there's pre-made social media posts available in our social media library, which you can scan the QR code for, that you can share on your various social media platforms. Just like last year, this year, myself and Nikki Nolting will join me, are going to do one-on-one meetings with program directors who did not meet mid-year enrollment goals, so we can figure out strategies for getting you closer to that end-of-year enrollment goal. This might look like reviewing your website, making sure online enrollment forms are up to date, and then Nikki will have suggestions too about your partnerships and outreach in that realm. So keep an eye out for an email from me if you know already that this might be your program. Next up, you're probably tired of hearing this by now, but it's really important that you know where the information is for our upcoming grant competition, with which Jerry just shared is going to be released on the 19th of January. If you missed your town hall meeting in your region, you can access that information by visiting the Amplify AE Grants and Forms page there, which the QR code will lead you to. There's a recording of the town hall as well as the slides posted there. Again, new year. I've said this like a handful of times over the last few months, but please, as your main site location might change, or your class locations change, make sure that your program website is updated, and make sure that the DWD Adult Ed Locations page has the correct location information reflected in it. So just a reminder to double check that and make sure that that looks good going into the new year. Finally, our outreach superstar this month is Washington Township. They do a great job of posting regularly on Facebook and Instagram, have used and successfully geofencing in the past, and have a multilingual website that they have been able to adjust the languages that it's available in based on their student population. So definitely follow them at Indie Adult Ed if you don't already, and check out some of their content. Thanks again. I'm going to turn it back over to Jerry now.
Thank you very much. We want to bring back Nikki, and Nikki has some valuable information about the Certified Logistic Technician training and certification. So she has a nice chart to show and some valuable information. So hello, Nikki.
Hello again. Next slide. There we go. So I am a huge fan of the Certified Logistic Technician training program through Manufacturing Skills Council. I looked a lot on data as far as jobs that are going to be projected through 2030, and there's going to be nearly 1 million jobs in the logistics field, and that's not just warehousing, it's also manufacturing. You know, they have product that they're moving, that they're getting out. The annual salaries of a lot of these jobs are going up. This certification also prepares people to go from entry-level programs and entry-level jobs into supervisory positions. At McDowell, we had several incumbent workers that came in that were entry-level that after they got the certification moved into supervisory positions. The great thing about this certification is it's relatively inexpensive. You purchase an unlimited yearly site license for $5,300. There's also 2 separate certifications embedded into this program, the Certified Logistic Associate and the Certified Logistic Technician. So even though you only get credit on table 4 for 1 certification, the number of certifications that they can earn is 2, which goes towards your goal of certifications for the year. Certification test fees, they're $160 for each one of those, the CLA and CLT. So the total cost for the certification is only $320. They must complete the CLA before taking the CLT. You do need to have your own instructor. The instructor training is about $210, which is just basically consists of them getting certified for the CLT. It's an 8-week course completion so it's a pretty quick turnaround. It's online and also hybrid. At McDowell, we met that they met in person 1 day a week, and then they worked online with some Zoom meetings in between and call-ins with the instructor if they needed extra help. You can use any previous certified instructors. Ivy Tech has instructors that programs have borrowed. I know some programs are doing this, but I don't think there's a lot in the state that are doing this program. It also has 3 credits that transfer into a Ivy Tech supply chain and logistics associate's degree, and it's very in demand by employers. McDowell worked with Cummins for several years and then reached out to many other employers. So they probably have 10 different employers that are sending incumbent workers, and as well as we've sent our own students, just like the story from Daniel, who ended up getting a full-time job at Toyota Manufacturing in Columbus. So it's a great certification, and you don't need any equipment for it besides just internet and a computer. So I would be happy to walk anybody through this. It's a little complicated at first because you're dealing with kind of 3 different entities. But it's a great certification, and the pass rate, I know at McDowell is over 90%. So if anyone has any questions or would like me to walk them through this program with them to get it started, I would be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Amy is up next, and she has several professional development updates. Hello, Amy.
Good morning, Jerry. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful break and have returned rejuvenated to finish out this second half of the year. Next slide, please. Just a reminder of the professional development facilitator meetings. We are coming up on the January 26th meeting. So please mark that on your calendar. A few days prior to the actual 26th, I will send out a reminder with a link so that everyone can attend. If you want to share that with anyone in your program, please feel free to do so, so that anyone that can attend is welcome to do that. They will be, again, virtually at 10 a.m. Next slide, please. Excuse me, just a reminder that the second quarter professional development quarterly report will be due March 1st. If you would like to get the quarterly report taken care of and out of the way before March 1st, please feel free to do that so that you're not faced with the grant application and the quarterly report at the same time. So you are welcome to send that in early if you feel that would be beneficial to your program. When you do send in your report, please send in a success story about one of your students. The success story can be any success that student has made while they are with your program. It does not have to be just that they received an HSE or a certificate through an IET program. It can be a WEI related. It can be something that's happened in the classroom that the student has made a progress in or a gain on, something they've struggled with in the past. So it does not have to be limited to one particular type of success. Anything is welcome. And then the final reflections, which is a shorter version of the program development report, that will be due on May 31st. There will also be a success story requested with that as well. Next slide, please. Dollar General will be releasing some point this month the literacy grants that they offer. I've been checking every day this week. It has not yet been released, but I will keep checking. And when I have an actual release date that I can find on their website, I will send out an email to the directors and the PDFs to let you know that that information is available and the applications are available, so you can begin working on those applications. I highly recommend everyone, every program apply in some fashion for a Dollar General literacy grant. There are a couple of different options. One is a family literacy, one is adult education specific. So depending on what your program needs are, there are a couple of different options. Dollar General is very liberal with what they consider family literacy and adult education related. So please feel free to ask me or ask other programs if they've applied and received funds for different things. Some programs have used those funds for purchasing laptops and desktops and Chromebooks. Other programs have used it to support salaries to hire quality teachers. That if their programs are struggling to find teachers, they are able to, Dollar General has been able to fund that as well. So they are very liberal with what they consider related to adult education. So please take a few minutes. It is not a difficult application. So if you have any trouble with it or want questions or kind of a jumping off point, I'm happy to help do that. So feel free to email me with any questions as well. Next slide, please. A few more highlights from the last quarter, the first quarter professional development reports. They were submitted last fall in early November. Next slide, please. First one is from Impact Institute. I really liked this idea. They are implementing a buddy system, assigning one student to another to help ensure attendance. So that's kind of a support system for each student. If one student doesn't have a ride, they can reach out to their quote unquote buddy and say, hey, I don't have a ride today. Are you going to class? Would you be able to swing by and pick me up? If a student is struggling with motivation, they can help kind of push that motivation of saying, remember, we're in this together, and we can work on something that you're struggling with, if that's what's creating your lack of motivation. If it's some particular concept that is challenging, we can work together on that. We can do that in class, and we can do that outside of class. So that buddy system is just another support that we can arrange with our students by kind of picking those buddies and finding, as a teacher, and you know your students, you can find which students will best support other students. So congratulations, Impact. That is a wonderful idea of creating their buddy system. And they can support those students by helping the students support each other. Next slide, please. Indy Reads recently hired a new community engagement and volunteer coordinator. This position will ensure Indy Reads is out into the community and recruiting additional classroom volunteers. And they are also, in addition to that, they are implementing a more robust volunteer training to ensure that their volunteers can meet the needs of their students prior to entering the classroom. I highly recommend, if you do not have volunteers in your program, to find volunteers within your community. A lot of altruist groups are always looking for different ways to support activities and things within their communities. So if you have that group within your community, they are a wonderful resource for finding volunteers. They also reach out to others to find volunteers for you. So if there's different organizations in your community that are supporting and supportive of things in your community, they are a great place to start to find volunteers. Most of our programs are saying that they're having difficulty hiring part-time and full-time teachers. Volunteers can help fill in some of those gaps by supporting the teachers that have those classrooms assigned to them, so that the teacher is not overworked and overstressed. So finding volunteers for your students and your teachers to provide that additional support is a great asset. Next slide, please. NEO, or Neighbors Educational Opportunity, recently purchased North Star Digital Literacy to begin building student digital skills. As we all know, that digital literacy is a new, fairly new focus within adult education, that we recognize that our students need to have digital literacy in order to move out of the adult education world and into the work world and be fully prepared. Many jobs are now digitally related in some fashion, and so we need to take on that additional training for our students so that they not only have the academic side of the knowledge that they need, but also that digital literacy that they will need as they enter the workforce. So good job, Neo. Next slide, please. And Marshall County Adult Education, located in Plymouth, they are providing a translator to help all of their ELL students in their IET programs so that they can support those students and make sure that they understand the important information that is coming across. Dates to remember, information about any certification tests, locations where the classes take place, any hands-on activities and where they take place, just to ensure that students that have an ELL side as well as their IET side are getting all of the important information that they need to be successful in those classes. And then they're also helping to improve their English while preparing for those in-demand careers in Marshall County. So good job, Marshall County, for supporting those students from a multifaceted point. Next slide, please. Warsaw Adult Education, their coordinator has been helping their ELL transitioning students adjust to the HSE classrooms. As you are aware, most of our ELL students have one goal while they're in our ELL programs, and as they transition to an HSE program, it looks much different to them, and their goals may be slightly different than a typical HSE student or an ABE student. So the Warsaw coordinator is helping those students by meeting with them individually to answer any questions and review material, particularly their Spanish population, which is their largest population, I believe. So congratulations, Warsaw, on providing that extra support to those students transitioning. And next slide, please. Last reminder that the PDF meeting is January 26th. It is 10 a.m. and it will be virtually. So if anyone does not receive the link within a day or so, please let me know and I will be happy to share that link with you. And welcome back, everyone, and have a great second half of the year. Next slide, please.
Morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back. I got some HSE updates for you. Next slide, please. Just a couple of reminders about the exit interview. There needs to be one on file with the state. So if you have any questions or concerns, please send one to me and I'll make sure I can answer those questions for you. Also, too, for GED, I'm the only one in the state that can actually waive the age waiver in GED. So that's why, another reason why it's important that we have the exit interview on file. Next slide, please. Also on the exit interview, this is just a reminder that it needs to be signed by a public school superintendent and not a superintendent of a charter school or a homeschool situation. Next slide, please. Out-of-state examinees, just a reminder that if you have a student coming from a different state, they took the GED test, they will have to contact GED and they will have to have the jurisdiction changed to Indiana. For HiSET, they will actually have to create a new account for HiSET, and then I will have to ask HiSET to combine both the one from the out-of-state and the one from Indiana. And that way it was be sent over to Diploma Center. Next slide, please. Just a reminder about merging records. If there is an individual who has more than one record in Diploma Center, those will have to be merged. Each test vendor will create its own separate record for each individual. Next slide, please. If you have any questions or concerns about anybody's records or anything, please feel free to contact me directly. Please do not send any kind of social security numbers or screenshots. The state's not allowed to reply back to SSNs. And if you send me a screenshot, it's not always clear about regarding the information. Next slide, please. There is going to be a price increase for HiSET on January 1st. The paper-based test is going to increase to $15. Just like, or excuse me, computer-based testing is going to increase to $15, just like the paper-based testing. So the entire battery will be or you'll be paying $75 for an entire battery to HiSET. Right now, testing centers may charge up to $24 per retake. On beginning March 1st, you may charge $144 for the testing because GED's prices are actually going to increase in the state of Indiana on March 1st. So there should not be any increases for $144 until March 1st. And at that time, the maximum that you can charge for a retake is $28.80. And then you will be able to have a $69 profit on the entire battery as a testing center. Next slide, please. Other information, HiSET informed me there's gonna be like 7 boxes to complete on the answer sheets, so it should be less confusing on how to fill those out. And then all 2023 tests must be returned by January 31st of 2024. I have sent out instructions, but there's also going to be instructions on how to mail back these materials. So if you have not received this information, please let me know and I will email you that information. Next slide, please. The price increase for GED on March 1st is going to increase from $30 to $36. The price for the entire battery is going to be $144. Testing centers may charge up to $144 for testing on March 1st. Test centers will still have about a profit of $40, and then you'll still receive about $10 in the test center compensation, and then you'll be paying GED $104 instead of $80. And online proctoring is going to remain the same at $36 per subtest. Next slide, please. And then more updates for GED come July 1st. There is only going to be one discounted rate. So the third attempt will be a price of $36. You'll still have 3 attempts in 1 month, but they still have to wait. But now they'll have to wait 60 days in between each retake. And below is the examples. Next slide. And here is just going back over some of the analytics from December of when this was pulled. I'm not going to read back over it because I did go over it in December. And again, this is just going over the GED data for math. And this is just a GED data math for the ready practice test. And then this is the GED data for the language arts test from last month. And then this is the GED data for the language arts test. And here is the GED data for the science test. And then the GED science readiness test. And then the social studies test information. And then their social studies practice test. And then on HS3 reminders, there is going to be a test center meeting on January 22nd. And I will be sending out the meeting and the agenda after this. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Just a quick thing. We had an internet outage Monday in Georgia for the server, so that's why everything was down. So it's all back up. It should be good. They also made a change Monday to the teacher's print packet report. They just changed the information that you see when you pull that report to give a little more options, but they limited it to default to 30 days of attendance. So if you print out an attendance sheet and you notice that it's missing some students, set that initial date back to your 90 days, and then it will pull all of the students that have attendance within the last 90 days. I've already got a case in to get that fixed, and they should have that done in the next day or two. So that's all the updates I have. Again, Happy New Year, and thank you all very much.
And thank you, Matt, and thank you, Megan. Jen is here with a lot of updates. So welcome, Jen.
Well, hey, everyone. Happy 24. I hope my camera is on. It says it's on. I think this problem happened last time too, but oh, I see myself down at the very bottom. Next slide, please. Hi, Jerry. All right, whenever it comes to advocacy alerts, I know you guys have got a lot of things on your plate right now, especially with the RFP coming up. But here's some alerts straight from the advocacy committee. They'd like you to attend critical legislative meetings. They would love if you would present to your local chamber of commerce or economic development boards. Of course, always engage elected officials at your graduation speaking events. It's a great time to go ahead and get it on the calendar right now for all of 2024, any events you have scheduled. If you can secure any letters of endorsements from local employers and email them to us, we'd love to have those things on file for our lobbyist use. And then, of course, the last thing is this is a great time to invite your elected officials to the Adult Education Day on February 13th. You've heard a little bit about it, I'm pretty sure. Next slide. And so let's give you the rundown of what it all is and all the details. So the actual reception will start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. The program will start at 11:30. It'll go no longer than an hour and 15 minutes, and the State House tour will start at 1 o'clock. So business partner recognitions. Let me grab this. I think I have this to put in chat. Oh, yes. Okay, that did not everything. So the business recognitions, I have the list that we've received, and that's what I'm trying to copy and get over there for you so that I don't have to read the list. But it looks like I might have to read them. Oh, nope, I think I got it. There we go. All right, so the list that we have received is in the chat. You have until Friday in order to get anyone that's missing from that list to be recognized on Adult Education Day. So take a look at that list, make sure the person or the business that you want to be recognized is on there. And if it's not, then go to that submission form by this Friday to get them on the list. Whenever it comes to advocacy successes, what we're looking for there is any success that you've had when it comes to building relationships and connecting with your legislators, and tell us about that so that possibly we can highlight during during programming. It might be a great help to secure someone to speak. So turn in those advocacy successes for the advocacy committee. They would love to have them. In regards to the essay contest, the 50 plus is what the narrowed down committee went through, and they have narrowed it down to 25. So those 25 essays are going to the judges this week, and we will notify by the end of the month the winners of the essay. Now, whenever it comes to who you're going to bring and what you're going to bring and all of that, it would be awesome if you could RSVP and let us know how many people you are bringing. We, as you know, last time we had to adjust the seats at the last minute, and then after a certain point we could not adjust the seats anymore, and so it was standing room only. We would like you to have a seat if you would like. So RSVPing the closest number to what you expect to bring, it would be a wonderful help. So that link is also in the chat. If you have any questions on Adult Education Day, obviously it's a great time to start asking those officials and gathering those students together, making arrangements for travel. The State House tour will have ability to take 100 individuals. Anyone is welcome on that tour. So I would suggest that you take a look at the Adult Education Day page, and if there's any updates or anything that we need to communicate, we will put them. All right, will we remove Brickforce staffing, Judy? It was just on the list, so no worries there. Next slide, please. Please save the date for the IAACE and the Indiana Literacy Association annual meeting for Friday, May 3rd. There will be some pretty exciting stuff released as far as the strategic plan. And we will have some bylaw changes due to the strategic plan on there. So it's important that we have as many members there as possible. And the bylaw changes, of course, will be released according to the process, and so that all of you to review prior to that. Next slide. Yes, we are having a virtual institute. It'll be coordinated with the annual meeting. So save the date for Friday, May 3rd. The Professional Development Committee has just begun to take information or suggestions on how or who or what you want for the virtual institute whenever it comes to professional development. So you can go to the professional development page, and that will take you a link to the virtual institute page as well as the conference page. And there is a way that you can submit information or submit an idea for the virtual institute if there's a particular strand that you want us to recognize, or if maybe there's a presenter or something that you've heard, maybe there's a keynote or somebody that you've heard that you really want to let us know about, then that's a great opportunity. Of course, you can always email as well. Let's see here. Whenever it comes to the conference, we are going to be back south down at Belterra. And if you'll notice, it's just a little later than it normally is. It's October 2nd through the 4th. So there, and I just put all the links for all of that information in the chat as well. And next slide, please. This is your list of reminders and save the dates. But what is not on here is something that's pretty important, and it just came to the, yes, I can release it after I submitted my slides. So the nomination/application process for the board of directors will be released by the month end. Whenever it comes to this, Connie McCollum, the IAAC president, has selected a nomination and election committee. Thanks to Brenda Gaston, Karen Crawford, and Mandy Logsdon for agreeing to serve on the nomination and election committee. Those names go to the board of directors this Friday for official approval. It's just a you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so if you're interested in applying for the board of directors, we would like to encourage you to reach out to one of those individuals, and I will throw their names in chat so you can hear them again. But Brenda Gaston, Karen Crawford, and Mandy Logsdon. I believe we have representation from the length of the state, so that's always good. The application/nomination form will be released by the end of the month. And those individuals, as well as any member on the board, can provide some insight on what the expectations are, what kind of things the board does, what their job description is, and hopefully whenever we release the actual form, there'll be some more information on that as well. I just want to emphasize that whenever Connie and I have discussed this, we're switching it up a little bit, and we really are looking for applications as more so than nominations. We want to make sure that the individual that is interested can give us some information about themselves. Now, of course, if someone else wants to do the nomination, we will certainly take that. But so take a think on it and think how you would like to connect to IAACE in 2024, and possibly maybe that's the board of directors. And last but not least, I think is my last slide, all the ways that we stay connected with our members. The blog comes out today. The newsletter is always on the third Thursday, and the community chats are the first Thursday and the third Friday. If you would like to add something to that calendar, and there will be some things that'll be coming up, hopefully, I think most of the deadlines and the suggestions are 2024, but there will be some additions to this. If you have any suggestions for IAACE, reach out to me or any board member. And I think that wraps up my slides, Jerry.
That wraps up your slides. Thank you very much.
Thank
you for joining us today. The next Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar, as you can see on your screen, will be February 14th, 2024 at 10 a.m. And I might remind everyone, February 14th is Valentine's Day. Please have a great rest of your day. And Matt, do we have some questions?
Jerry, I was just reading through them, and I think everyone went ahead and answered them, unless you want me to read them out. There are some from Megan, which I'm going to suggest you email Megan your specific questions about the pricings with the high set. We have a question here. So we can't charge new price for high set until March 1st, even though they are charging us the new prices as of January 1. Is that to be understood?
You can't charge 144 until March 1st because that's when GED pricing goes up. So we're keeping we're keeping high set and GED the same. So you would still be able to charge the $24 for the retake and then the 120 right now for high set. And then the computer-based testing is going up to 15.
And then Jay Webster also says that Central 9 has not received any paper test info from high set yet.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions. Anybody else got anything? That's it, Jerry. Thanks. We'll see you all next month.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.